Hello everyone. Let us start with understanding of the diseases. As I told you that I'm going to cover Organon 6th edition, and I told you that we're going to read it together. So this is going to be Organon 6th edition, and where we're going to start preliminarily with understanding of the disease, which is very important. As a homeopath, we should understand what we call it as a disease. For us, disease is totally different than when we compare with other specialties available. So I would like to start from aphorism 72. So I just read it out. With respect to the first point, that is aphorism 71, where it is going to categorize between what is curative in the disease, what is curative in the medicine, and how we're going to apply it. That is what we will come to that aphorism 71. But let us understand aphorism 72. So what he says is, the disease, let me read it out. The disease to which a man is liable are either rapid morbid process of abnormally deranged vital force, which have a tendency to finish their courses more or less quickly, but always in a moderate time. So now these are termed as acute diseases. So aphorism 72, it talks about what you call it as an acute diseases and which one you call it as an chronic diseases. So now what he says is, the disease which man is liable are either rapid morbid process of abnormally deranged vital force. So it's an abnormally deranged vital force which has a definitive time period, and which is very quick, abrupt in nature, comes and goes, doesn't stays for a long time. So that is an acute diseases. So now these are the acute diseases which are, further he explains, are not caused dynamically. They are just a mistune of a vital force. Okay, so that is what called as an acute diseases. Now let's read it further. Or they are the diseases of such a character that with a small, often imperceptible beginning, and dynamically derange the living organisms to such an extent. So now he is talking about a chronic diseases. There are two diseases which is possible. One is acute and another is chronic. So now for acute, he says the disease which man is liable are either rapid morbid process of a abnormally deranged vital force, which have a tendency to finish their course more or less quickly, but always in a moderate time. He talks about acute diseases. Now let's talk about the chronic diseases. They are the diseases of such a character that with a small, often imperceptible beginning, it starts very slow, very small, dynamically derange the living organisms, each in its own peculiar manner, and causes gradually to deviate from healthy condition in such a way that automatic life energy, which we call it a vital force, whose work is to preserve the health, starts opposes to them at commencement or during the progress of imperfect, unsuitable, unless resistance. But it fights with whatever chronic diseases that is happening, but it has a limitation. It has a limitation, and it's what he says, but is unable of itself to extinguish them. So it cannot extinguish by itself. So now, but must helpfully suffer, helplessly suffer itself to cover more and more abnormally deranged until at a length that organisms is destroyed. These are termed as chronic diseases. They are caused by dynamic infections with a chronic miasm. So what he says is, overall homeopathy defines into two diseases. One is acute diseases, one is chronic diseases. Just remember, very simple, that acute diseases are non-dynamic. Chronic diseases are dynamic. Acute diseases is just a mistune of your vital force, which is little imbalanced for a time being, which again comes back to a normal state within short period of time. And the nature of acute disease is very abrupt, very quick, and it passes away within very moderate time. Whereas chronic diseases, what he says, it is caused by dynamic force only. It caused by dynamically, it presents itself dynamically and deranging the vital force. Now, what's the duty of vital force? Its job is to keep entire thing in a harmony. So when its job itself is under stake, okay, so now vital force is not able to fight with this dynamic force. So it fights to a certain extent. How it fights? It fights in terms of extra proliferation. This is the word used in this particular book, not in this book. And it fights till the end. It fights till the end. Our vital force fights till the end. But if we give a medicine on time, especially for chronic diseases, then we are going to help our vital force. We're going to strengthen our vital force to combat this particular dynamically deranged entire system of our body. So now this is what it is. Aphorism talks only about what we call it as an acute diseases and what we call it as chronic diseases. So I just read out from this book again, Aphorism 72. If anything we have missed, we have to address it. Aphorism 72 says, the disease to which a man is liable are either rapid morbid process of a abnormally deranged vital force, which have a tendency to finish their course more or less quickly, but always in a moderate time. These are termed as acute diseases. There are another set of category, that is chronic diseases. What he says, they are the disease of such a character that with a small, often imperceptible beginning, they start very slow, very small, and dynamically derange the living organisms. Here, he specifically uses the word dynamically deranges the vital force or a living organism. He never says even acute disease also dynamically deranged. No, acute diseases can happen with variety of reasons, but chronic diseases happen only because of dynamic derangement. Okay, so now what he says, begins very small, dynamically derange the entire living organism, each in its own peculiar manner, and causes it gradually to deviate from healthy condition. So because it is dynamically deranged in such a way that automatic life energy, that is vital force, whose office is to preserve the health, only opposes to them at that commencement and during their progress. Imperfect, unsuitable, useless resistance. What he call it as? The resistance which vital force does. It is, he uses a word, it is imperfect. It's not suited, it is not perfect. Unsuitable. The ailment is something else, the dynamic force is something else, and vital force trying to fight it, which is unsuitable. So he says that our vital force get confused, CPO get confused. It is going to get confused, and then it fights with the dynamic deranged organisms in an imperfect way and unsuitable way and useless resistance. That's what he uses a word, but is unable of itself to extinguish them. He says that vital force itself is not able to fight. If you leave it like that, then disease is going to progress. If patient, even if it is healthy, he uses word later on, even if a patient is healthy, he does a lot of exercises, he go work out, he do best suited diet for himself, but it's not going to work. For dynamic derangement, you have to have a dynamically working medicine itself. That's what he says. So it's a useless. So it cannot extinguish. It goes deep and deep, deep and deep, deep and deep till organism get destroyed. And these are called as chronic diseases. They are caused, not often, they are caused by dynamic infection only. This is what Aphorism 72 says. Our vital force doesn't have strength to fight with every dynamically deranged organisms. It require help. Okay, it require help. Acute disease also require help. Chronic disease also require help. Don't leave it entirely on vital force, saying that you be happy, you mentally be strong, you take out all your worries, grief, vexations, you take out all that things, and then your chronic disease get healed. Nothing will happen. Your vital force is not in a position to heal yourself. Even if you go wherever you want, you best suited diet, that's what he uses the word, best suited diet also will not be able to help. In the later stage he uses that word. So we will conclude Aphorism 72, and in this book also he has said the same thing, but he says that in 72 acute diseases are a mistune of vital force. What he says, your vital force is functioning properly, maybe because of weather change or maybe because of certain lifestyle. Okay, so your vital force get mistuned. It's temporarily getting confused, not like confused for all time because of dynamic derangement. So he uses a word called as a mistune, temporarily mistune for acute diseases. Okay, so there is no much difference between this book and this book as far as aphorism 72 is concerned. If further, if I come across any differences, I'll definitely take this up. And then now further moving ahead, we will go to aphorism 73 in our coming sessions. Thank you very much.